Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching the news tonight, an extended version of the news tonight and a different version of the news tonight because tonight, of course, with a very heavy heart and a sad heart, we'd like to announce that M Karunanidhi is no longer with us. He passed away at 6:10 p.m. earlier this evening at the Kaveri Hospital. He was in the hospital for the last 11 days. He was battling, of course, from sickness for a long time, and he finally passed away at 6:10 p.m. earlier this evening. I'm Frank Pereira. With me is Kavindra Sachano. The next 1 hour, of course, we'll take you through the life and also the political career as well as the legacy of M Karunanidhi. But before that, let's take a look at the headlines. DMK patriarch M Karunanidhi passes away. Chennai hospital doctors confirmed the party chief's death at 6:10 p.m. The 94-year-old leader was hospitalized since 28th of July. Health deteriorated significantly in the last 24 hours due to multi-organ failure. Thousands of DMK supporters mourn the passing away of party patriarch M K Stalin. Appeals for peace. State government declares 7-day mourning for Karunanidhi. Tributes pour in for departed leader from across the country. President hails Karunanidhi as a doyen of public life and contributor to the development of Tamil Nadu. Vice President calls him one of the leading and long-standing politicians of India. Prime Minister mourns loss of a deep-rooted mass leader, prolific thinker, accomplished writer and a stalwart whose life was devoted to the welfare of the poor. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave for Chennai tomorrow morning. DMK Working President M K Stalin meets Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy, requests a place on Chennai's Marina Beach for Karunanidhi Memorial. Well, the Tamil Nadu government has declared a holiday for educational institutions and government offices for Wednesday. A 7-day mourning has also been declared in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Chennai on Wednesday morning to pay his last respects to the departed leader. Meanwhile, DMK Working President M K Stalin has requested party cadres to maintain discipline and calm in the state.
Former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and DMK patriarch M Karunanidhi passed away after battling illness at the Kaveri Hospital in Chennai on Tuesday. In a press release, Kaveri Hospital announced that despite the best possible efforts by a team of doctors to resuscitate him, Karunanidhi failed to respond. Thousands of DMK workers were seen breaking down after Kaveri Hospital released the statement. Condolence messages from top leaders and ministers poured in after Karunanidhi's demise. President Ramnath Kovind mourned his death. Taking to Twitter, he wrote, "Extremely sad to learn of the passing of Thiru M Karunanidhi, a doyen of our public life. As a contributor to the development of Tamil Nadu and of India, he has few peers. Our country is poorer today. My condolences to his family and millions of well-wishers." Vice President M Venkaiah Naidu also expressed deep sorrow over the demise of Karunanidhi. He said, and I quote, "I'm grieved by the passing away of Shri M Karunanidhi, one of the leading and long-standing politicians of our country, who left a mark of his own during his long public life of about 80 years, including 56 years as member of the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly." Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his sadness, describing Karunanidhi as a prolific thinker and a deep-rooted mass leader who stood for regional aspiration and national progress. Congress President Rahul Gandhi also condoled the death and wrote on Twitter, "Kalainar strode the stage of Tamil politics like a colossus for over 6 decades. In his passing, India has lost a great son. My condolences to his family as also to the millions of Indians who grieve for their beloved leader." The veteran of Dravidian politics was shifted to the hospital on July 28th from his Chennai residence following a dip in his blood pressure and was under treatment in the intensive care unit ever since.
Meanwhile, Vice President M Naidu expressed grief over the passing away of M Karunanidhi and offered his condolences to the DMK patriarch's family. Expressing deep sorrow over Karunanidhi's demise, Vice President Naidu hailed Kalainar as a multifaceted, gritty fighter who overcame several challenges during his long stint in public life. In a message, he said that Karunanidhi was one of the leading and long-standing politicians of our country who left a mark of his own during his long public life of about 80 years, including 56 as member of the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly. Naidu said that besides being a renowned scriptwriter, Karunanidhi played an important role in the scripting, the growth and development of the state of Tamil Nadu and played a constructive role in national politics. Vice President Naidu added that Karunanidhi was a great orator, writer and administrator of our times. He said that the country has lost a man of letters, an able administrator and a reformer. Well, political leaders cutting across party lines expressed grief at the passing away of M Karunanidhi. Let's listen in.
करुणानिधि जी का निधन निश्चित तौर से देश के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी क्षति है, नुकसान है। उन्होंने पूरे जीवन पिछड़े, दलित, कमज़ोर तबकों और वंचित तबकों के उत्थान के लिए, उनके सरोकार के लिए संघर्ष किया और उसके लिए काम किया है। हमारी उनके परिवार और उनके पार्टी के प्रति संवेदना है।
देश के इतिहास में प्रादेशिक पार्टी का नेतृत्व करते हुए राष्ट्रीय राजनीति को प्रभावित करने वाले बहुत कम नेता हैं। उनमें से एक वो करुणानिधि जी का नाम उसमें लिया जा सकता है। उनकी राजकीय कारकिर्दी को बहुत लंबे समय तक भारत का लोकतंत्र याद रखेगा।
Undoubtedly, he has been a tall leader as an independent India, particularly in Tamil Nadu. Today, whoever it is in Tamil Nadu, different parties, but at one point of time, most of them are trained under his leadership. It's a great loss to the nation as well as Tamil Nadu. I pray God that his soul may rest in peace.
तमिलनाडु के राजनीति में सामाजिक परिवर्तन और क्रांति में उनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान था। ऐसे लोग जब भी जाते हैं तो राष्ट्र का और समाज का नुकसान अवश्य होता है। फिर ऐसे लोग मिलना कठिन होता है, इसलिए उनके प्रति मैं भी श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूँ।
He was already in a comatose condition earlier. And I think at least for the last 2 years, he has not been in a position even to stir out his house. But he lived 95 years and had been several times chief minister. He developed his party from almost nothing to replace the Congress in 1967. A great organizer. He had many other minuses too. He was very vindictive with any political rivals. he ran the party with an iron hand and he promoted his family. So these things put together, one can say that we have to look at it, the balance of his political career.
तमिलनाडु के वरिष्ठ नेता, कवि, बहुत सम्मानित व्यक्तित्व करुणानिधि जी का दुखद निधन आज शाम को हुआ। उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन तमिलनाडु के राजनीति में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रहा है और उनकी आत्मा को सद्गति मिले ऐसी प्रार्थना करता हूँ और उनके परिवार को, विशेषकर उनके पुत्र स्टालिन और बाकी परिवार के सभी सदस्यों को हमारी संवेदना है।
He gave importance to the opposition, all different ideology peoples also. His demise is a big loss for Tamil Nadu and the whole country. On behalf of BJP and myself, I pay my tributes to Shri Karunanidhi.
दुख की बात है, वो तमिलनाडु के और डीएमके के ही केवल बड़े नेता नहीं, बल्कि भारत की राजनीति में 5 दशक से उन्होंने एक अपना प्रभावशाली भूमिका अदा की। उनका योगदान ऐतिहासिक रहा है तमिलनाडु की राजनीति में और देश की राजनीति में, केंद्र में भी कई सरकारों के गठन में। जहां हम अपनी संवेदना प्रकट करते हैं उनके निधन पे, उनके परिवार के प्रति, तमिलनाडु के जनता के प्रति और डीएमके के लिए, वहीं ये भी कहते हैं कि उनका अभूतपूर्व भूमिका और योगदान को बड़े सम्मान से याद किया जाएगा।
And with us on the program, on the telecast right now, T.K. Rajalakshmi, Deputy Editor of The Frontline, and Ganapati Subramaniam, Chief of Bureau, Pudhiya Thalaimurai. Also with us is my colleague Akhilesh Suman from our newsroom. Rajalakshmi, talking about Karunanidhi, of course, we've been talking about him for the last 2 hours or so. What is it that stands out the most for you through his life?
See, clearly, he was a man of principles, I would say. I mean, broadly. I mean, if he stood with Mrs. Gandhi at some point, he also opposed her. At the time of the emergency, isn't it? When yes, he supported the BJP, but at the same time, of course, at that point, since Jayalalitha withdrew from the from the NDA, so he stepped in to support to prop up the party. But I'm sure because of the kind of background that he came from, being anti-Brahminical, being anti upper caste, and he would have felt and of course the anti-Hindi thing also background too. He would have felt let's say like a natural discomfiture with going along with the BJP in the long run. So for some reasons he became a fairly long time partner of the UPA in 2004. So he was, I think, a man with interesting shades to his personality. Also at the same time, perhaps he also wanted to convey a strong message to the centrist, to the parties at the center which have ruled this country, that you can't take us for granted. You can't take regional outfits for granted, and especially you can't take the DMK under my leadership for granted. Definitely. So he in fact when his his 94th birthday was being celebrated, apparently in fact the left leaders were there, the Congress was there, and of course the DMK was there, because DMK had hosted that, and there a clear-cut signal was sent that the kind of things that are happening in the country today, there was a certain discomfiture being expressed at the kind of polarization that was taking place in the country at these times.
Right.
So in a sense, there was enough of clarity on the things that were sort of good for Tamil Nadu and which are also good for the country, in one sense, and of course, and also sort of preserving the Tamil identity, art, culture, everything, in fact, around it, and the interests of the Tamil people as such, vis-a-vis other states, vis-a-vis the center. So this constant thing was there to keep the parties, the major political parties at bay, and yet to push a strong social transformational agenda in the state, which I think needs introspection also, which has said that it's not all that hunky dory as far as as far as certain castes are
Indeed.
concerned.
Ganapati, has Karunanidhi even in his death ensured that the national parties now stay away from Tamil Nadu at least for some time, gives the other regional parties, gives the other regional leaders, some time to build on their own careers?
Of course, Frank, there are a couple of kind of alignments or lineups that people are talking about. Next year will be Lok Sabha election and the assembly elections that will come later. DMK, Congress on the one side is already fixed, but on the other side, AIDMK, suppose if they ally with Rajinikanth on the one side and BJP on the other side, and what will happen to the TTV faction? TTV faction is trying to tell Kamal Hassan that you come with us. We will form a separate alliance with Kamal Hassan, TTV Dinakaran and the Congress. We will leave DMK out because DMK and Kamal Hassan's anti-corruption politics cannot go together. But all these realities, how it will work out, people are skeptical in their mind because DMK is the dominant force. After AIDMK split, DMK is the largest magnet to attract workers and voters, and the support base is kept intact.
So two stalwart leaders passing away in a short duration of time, but DMK is better placed than the AIDMK is what you're suggesting as things stand right now.
Yes, DMK is definitely, Karunanidhi even at this stage has ensured that DMK is on a strong footing. Unless there is an internal problem, unless the family fight rift weakens the DMK, DMK is today the strongest force. Others are trying various permutations and combinations talking, but DMK is keeping quiet because they know that they will always get the support of at least half a dozen regional parties, and one of the national parties will definitely ally with the DMK. So therefore, Karunanidhi has left DMK on a strong footing. Whether Stalin and others will be able to protect, preserve the strength and take it forward is the big question.
बिल्कुल अखिलेश, जो बात गणपति कह रहे हैं थोड़ा सा मैं और समझना चाहूँगा कि केंद्र की राजनीति के लिहाज पर जब 2019 के चुनाव की बात हो रही है, ऐसे में स्टेट में डीएमके और एआईडीएमके दोनों की पोजीशनिंग और राष्ट्रीय पार्टियों के लिए इस वक्त कितना स्कोप वहाँ पर खुलता है, और ये पार्टियाँ अब तक खुद अपने बूते पर वहाँ पर चुनाव लड़ती रही हैं और राष्ट्रीय पार्टियों को दूर रखा है, लेकिन क्या इस बार सिचुएशन कुछ बदलती हुई दिख सकती है या फिर अभी भी कुछ मैं कहूं कि स्पेस नहीं दिखेगी राष्ट्रीय पार्टियों के लिए वहां पर?
देखिए, बिल्कुल जो गणपति बोल रहे थे मैं उनकी बातों से इत्तेफाक रखता हूं, और मुझे ये लगता है कि जिस तरीके से करुणानिधि ने पहले से ही फैमिली में एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ रोल एंड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ पावर की स्थापना कर दी थी, उन्होंने एक केंद्र बिंदु बना दिया था कि स्टालिन ही हमारी पार्टी की विरासत संभालेंगे, और मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इस पर कोई फैमिली में विवाद होने वाला है। करुणानिधि को उन्होंने प्लेस कर दिया है सेंटर की राजनीति में डीएमके का प्रतिनिधित्व करने के लिए, और बीच में अलगरी जो उनके भाई हैं उनको भी उन्होंने केंद्र की राजनीति में स्थापित करने का प्रयास किया, उन्हें मंत्री भी बनाया गया है केंद्र में, लेकिन अलगरी को यहाँ रास नहीं है या दिल्ली रास नहीं है या फिर वे तमिलनाडु लौट गए, और पिछले चुनाव में भी उनकी भूमिका सकारात्मक नहीं थी। तो अब अलगरी बिल्कुल एक तरीके से कहें कि किनारे पड़े हुए हैं, और एक तरह से कहें कि स्टालिन का एक छत्र नेतृत्व है पूरे डीएमके की राजनीति में, और तमिलनाडु की राजनीति के केंद्र बिंदु के रूप में अगर कहें तो अब स्टालिन स्थापित हो चुके हैं। कमल हासन या रजनीकांत जो भी हैं पेरिफेरल प्लेयर के रूप में कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वे उस परंपरा को फिर से पुनर्जीवित करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं जिसके तहत एमजी रामचंद्रन या जयललिता सिनेमा से आकर फिर राजनीति में उन्होंने अपनी पैठ बनाई। लेकिन जो आंदोलन की जो परंपरा होती है, आंदोलन की परंपरा में अगर देखें तो या तो कमल हासन हो या रजनी हासन हो, अपना कोई पहचान नहीं बना पा रहे हैं। वे हमेशा किसी न किसी की सहायता लेकर राजनीति में प्रवेश करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि वो एक कहें कि एक फ्लेवर राजनीति में एक फ्लेवर की तरह उनका उपयोग करेगी, चाहे वो डीएमके करे या एआईडीएमके करे। लेकिन जो अभी जो शून्य स्थापित हुआ है एआईडीएमके की पूरी राजनीति में जयललिता के निधन के बाद, तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी राजनीतिक पार्टियों को, जो केंद्र की राजनीतिक पार्टियां हैं, उनमें इन्हीं दो ध्रुवों के बीच में किसी के साथ अलायंस करके आगे बढ़ने की स्थिति बनेगी। स्थापित स्वतंत्र रूप से न तो अभी कांग्रेस के लिए वहां जमीन है और न ही मुझे लगता है कि बीजेपी के लिए वहां कोई जमीन है। राजनीति इन्हीं दो ध्रुवों के बीच में अभी भी बने रहेगी। थोड़ा सा बिखराव एआईडीएमके की तरफ से जरूर है और उस बिखराव का फायदा मुझे लगता है कि स्टालिन और डीएमके को मिलने वाला है।
और दोनों के राजनीति अगर दोनों पार्टियों के, क्योंकि दोनों के ही कद्दावर नेताओं ने साथ छोड़ा है, तो ऐसे में अगर पार्टी कैडर की बात करूं मैं और जमीन पर उनकी योजनाओं के साथ उनको अमल में लाने वाली, तो दोनों पार्टियों में क्या बड़े प्लस पॉइंट नजर आ रहे हैं आज के दौर में जिस तरह की राजनीति है, और क्या बड़े खतरे हैं जहां पर उनको आगे बढ़ना होगा लेकिन संभल कर?
देखिए, खतरा तो उनको अंदर से ही है। मतलब खतरा अगर उनकी जो लीडरशिप में, अगर वो लीडरशिप अगर सही अगर रास्ता नहीं दिखाते हैं, अब जैसे एआईडीएमके की दो मतलब धड़े हैं, है ना, और उनमें भी कौन है सक्सेसर, जेन्युइन उत्तराधिकारी कौन है, उसको भी लेके अभी तक लड़ाई चल रही है। अभी तो एक जो है पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी का जो तमिलनाडु में है माहौल, ऐसी बात नहीं, एकदम खत्म नहीं हुआ है। तो ये जो है कभी भी जो है पलट सकता है। और इनके निधन से जो है डीएमके में जो पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी है, ये मुझे नहीं लगता। जैसे गणपति ने भी बोला और आपके संवाददाता ने भी ये बात कही है कि स्टालिन उसमें ढल चुके हैं। जो वो लीडरशिप का जो पोजीशन एज्यूम करना होता है, वो उसमें वो आ चुके हैं, क्योंकि वो यूथ लीडर रहे और उसी में से और वो हमेशा पार्टी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ मतलब जुड़े रहे। तो ऐसा नहीं था कि वो उन्होंने कभी पॉलिटिकल संन्यास ले लिया या वो केंद्र में आ गए। मतलब करुणानिधि जी केंद्र में इसलिए भी नहीं आना चाहते थे क्योंकि वो संपर्क टूट जाता है। अगर आपके जो लोगों के साथ जो एक रेगुलर संपर्क जो बनाए रखना होता है, बहुत सारे लीडर हैं जो स्टेट्स में मतलब केंद्र में नहीं आना चाहते, मतलब पार्टी की जिम्मेदारी। इसका मतलब एक केंद्र में आना मतलब उनका पॉलिटिकल रोल मतलब खत्म हो जाना के बराबर है। तो वो स्टेट्स में रहना ही पसंद करते हैं। हाँ, तो ये बात थी कि स्टालिन जो उस प्रकार का क्राइसिस और डीएमके उस प्रकार का क्राइसिस नहीं फेस कर रही है जो जयललिता जी के निधन के बाद हुआ है, और एआईडीएमके जो अभी फेस कर रही है वो उस टाइप का क्राइसिस डीएमके में नहीं है। तो इसलिए अपने काडर को बांध के रखने का जो चैलेंज है, वो मेरे ख्याल से जो डीएमके को कम रहेगा एआईडीएमके के बनस्पत पे।
Just if I could just add to that, Ganapati, I was in Tamil Nadu a couple of weeks ago for a whole week, and even I could sense it everywhere that I went, the AIADMK still seems to be living on Jayalalitha's name, still seems to be hung on Jayalalitha, whereas the DMK clearly, even though Karunanidhi was alive all these years, of course, he just passed away, but it seemed like the mantle had clearly been passed on to Stalin, and he had taken on the role really of a party chief, whereas the AIADMK seems leaderless. They are still hung on to Jayalalitha even today, months after she has passed away.
Jayalalitha was the only leader of the AIADMK. She never had any deputy, number 2, etc. There might be many behind the screen activities, people controlling the party, people controlling the government, etc. But whenever she was the chief minister, she was the decision maker. Whenever she was the party president, that she always was, she was the decision maker. There is no number 2. But Karunanidhi ji, probably considering his health, he has groomed Stalin. He was the deputy chief minister. Stalin was the deputy chief minister last time when Karunanidhi was the chief minister. And right now he is the working president of the party. Even though Karunanidhi continued to be the president, he was the working president, and virtually the party cadre and everything, he could reorganize the party, appoint his own district administration people, etc. That way he has already been groomed and put in place. There is no doubt. Jayalalitha probably did not have a number 2 because it was a strategy. Similarly for Karunanidhi also, he did not want any confusion probably. That is why he has chosen Stalin and groomed, because the others he has put in for different roles. So they all should support Stalin. In that kind of a scenario, DMK will continue to be strong. while AIDMK is weakened. And if Stalin wins one election, whether it is the Lok Sabha,
so who's in the
Assembly,
ranks as far as the AIADMK is concerned? You know, you spoke about how it's a party without really any leaders other than Jayalalitha. Who's stepping in? Who's really taking up this mantle? Because there seems to be a lot of infighting even now within the AIADMK.
If we look at the RK Nagar by-election and what happened subsequently, Frank, more than the people in AIADMK, it is the person outside the AIADMK who seems to be having a lot of influence, that is TTV Dinakaran. TTV Dinakaran managed to defeat not only AIADMK but also the DMK in Jayalalitha's constituency. And otherwise also, wherever he is doing public meetings, he is able to gather a lot of crowd. That he is doing without the AIADMK party support and without any government support. So if that way he can manage much more once he comes back into the AIADMK fold, or his group becomes the real successor to Jayalalitha. So there can be a lot of changes, but within the AIADMK, OPS has more public connect than EPS, because he was chosen as the deputy chief minister by Jayalalitha, and also he was the one who rebelled. So therefore, that way he has got some kind of a public connect. Others probably lack that.
But yet not the mass appeal like some of the other leaders indeed have. Okay, all right, we're getting some news now. Of course, Karunanidhi's death has led to an outpouring of grief in Tamil Nadu, with supporters coming out onto the streets to pay their last respect to the former chief minister. However, there is already a controversy brewing over the allocation of a final resting place of the DMK patriarch. The DMK wants Marina Beach to be the final resting place along with several icons of the Dravidian movement, but they have been denied permission by the AIADMK government. The DMK has now sought an urgent hearing with the Chief Justice of the Madras High Court, and the meeting has been sought at 10:30 p.m. tonight. So the DMK there is very swiftly moving towards ensuring that the final resting place or samadhi is built there for the DMK patriarch. You know, Ganapati, this was something that we were talking about earlier, and here you have it. Of course, the news is already out. DMK approaching the government saying that we want a place on Marina Beach. The AIADMK clearly saying that we are not going to grant you that place there on Marina Beach. The politics has already started.
Of course, when Annadurai died, Karunanidhi wrote a very emotional poem saying, Anna, now we are calling you, but we know that you are not going to come back, but give me your heart. I will keep your heart with me, and when I come and join you, I will submit it back to you. So that was the kind of thing that he used to say, that he is my Anna, my elder brother, and I am his younger brother, I will follow him. And that is the reason why the DMK has always been saying that in Marina, next to Anna Samadhi, Karunanidhi should get a place. Now there are complications that have come up, like we spoke earlier about a court case which has been withdrawn today. That is why probably now they are going to the Chief Justice to find out, get more clarity. Probably the state government is citing the court case and also environment rules. So now this is something which is to be sorted out with the help of the central government as well as the state government.
You know, Rajalakshmi, how do you see this all panning out? How do you see where do you see this going finally?
I'm really surprised, because if I were the AIADMK government now, I would rather give in to this demand and not sort of play in fact politics over this, because this is eventually this will go in the favor of the DMK, because it can be used as a tool of in fact mobilization, you know, mobilizing support and of saying to its cadre that look, this AIADMK government is so insensitive. I mean, when in fact Dr. Karunanidhi is the in fact he did take over from you know Annadurai, you know, who was a founder of the DMK. And here, you know, he's been sort of denied a place, you know, next to his beloved leader and the founder of the DMK. This can be used to, in fact, whip up passions. I mean, I don't know why would the AIADMK government be so sort of bureaucratic, you know, over this. I mean, ideally it shouldn't be.
You know, Kavindra, this could just be the start of many more things to come. You know, before the elections in 2019, we're going to see a lot more politics being played probably in Tamil Nadu.
बिल्कुल अखिलेश, जो बात मरीना बीच को लेकर अभी आ रही खबर आ रही कि मद्रास हाई कोर्ट में चीफ जस्टिस के यहाँ अपील की जा रही है, इमोशंस और इस तरह के मैं कहूँ कि अंतिम यात्रा के साथ वहाँ पर भी राजनीतिक कद और ओहदा तमिलनाडु की राजनीति में एक लंबा इतिहास रहा है, क्या उसकी एक अगली कड़ी के तौर पर देखा जाए?
ना, निश्चित तौर पे कविंद्र, जो मैंने तमिलनाडु को देखा है और तमिलनाडु के लोग जिस तरीके से भावनाओं का प्रदर्शन करते हैं और अपने नेता के लिए जान भी देते हैं, सड़कों पे लेट जाते हैं और लंबे समय तक वे मातम भी मनाते हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि डीएमके के लीडर के, इतने बड़े लीडर के मृत्यु के बाद जो इस तरह की राजनीति एआईएडीएमके गवर्नमेंट कर रही थी, अभी तक जो मैं पहले चीफ मिनिस्टर का बयान पढ़ रहा था उसमें काफ़ी मैच्योरिटी दिख रही थी कि उन्होंने करुणानिधि की मृत्यु पे तमिलनाडु का एक बड़ा लीडर खोने का दर्द व्यक्त किया और उसके बाद उन्होंने यह भी कहा कि तमिलनाडु किस तरीके से करुणानिधि का सम्मान करता रहा है। लेकिन जब यह सूचना आ रही है कि उनकी समाधि बनाने से रोका जा रहा है, तो निश्चित तौर पे मुझे जो इस बात की संभावना पूरी नज़र आ रही है कि डीएमके भी इसका राजनीतिक उपयोग करेगी, क्योंकि करुणानिधि ने एक चीज़ जो सिखाई थी अपने पूरे कैडर को, कि जो मैं जिलों में देख रहा कि उनके कैडर बहुत ही राजनीतिक और बहुत ही राजनीति का किस तरीके से उपयोग किया जा सकता है पार्टी के हित में और किस तरह से वोकल हुआ जा सकता है, वह उन्होंने अपने कैडर को सिखाया था। और ऐसे समय में अगर एआईएडीएमके सरकार इस तरीके से रोकने का प्रयास करेगी तो मुझे लगता है कि तमिलनाडु की राजनीति में फिर से एक डिस्टर्बेंस पैदा होगा और एआईएडीएमके खुद अपने लिए परेशानी पैदा कर रहा है, जो मुझे लगता है कि अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसमें हस्तक्षेप किया, और किस तरह का हस्तक्षेप होगा यह भी कहना संभव नहीं है, लेकिन डीएमके कैडर के बीच में यह निश्चित तौर पे एक बात चली गई है, और न सिर्फ कैडर के रूप में बल्कि तमिलनाडु की जनता के मन में यह बात गई है कि डीएमके के नेता करुणानिधि तमिलनाडु की एक छवि, एक प्रतीक के रूप में उभरे, और जो प्रतीक जयललिता नहीं बना पाई। जयललिता के संघर्ष उस तरह का नहीं था जिस तरह का संघर्ष करुणानिधि का था, और करुणानिधि के मौत के ऊपर अगर यह राजनीति होगी कि उनको नौकरशाही तरीके से उनकी समाधि को बनने पर रोका जाएगा, तो मुझे लगता है कि इसका घाटा एआईएडीएमके को आगे आने वाले दिनों में उठाना पड़ेगा और डीएमके इसका भरपूर उपयोग करेगी और उसका फ़ायदा उठाएगी।
फ्रैंक, कितना बड़ा इशू, क्योंकि जिस तरह हम देख रहे हैं कि मरीना बीच एक राजनीतिक तौर पर और सामाजिक तौर पर क्या अब ये प्रतिष्ठा का सवाल बनने जा रहा है, और ख़ासतौर पर अब जबकि राज्य सरकार की ओर से जिस तरीके से मैं कहूँ कि अब तक ग्रीन सिग्नल नहीं है उसको लेकर, और अब कोर्ट की बारी है।
Indeed, I mean, it looks like it could be a prolonged issue. You know, ultimately the courts will have to decide. And like Rajalakshmi was indeed pointing out, it is something that can be used by the DMK and its cadres. Really, it can be used very smartly by Stalin. You know, immediately we've seen the DMK acting swiftly, deciding to go to the Chief Justice, deciding to go there and find out what the issue is, and trying to see if they can get some kind of a solution to this problem. You know, Rajalakshmi, as far as this seems like just the start, isn't it? I mean, something that I was talking about earlier with Kavindra as well. We're going to see more of this as the days go on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. See, you declare a 7-day state mourning, and then you do all this, it's a drama, political drama. You know, it actually doesn't convey a
it could have been nice, as simple as it's something that we can decide later. Let us finish the mourning period. Let us finish everything else, and then we can come to a conclusion on what has to be done.
True. If it, if it has been done with the intention of breaking, the morale and the spirit of the DMK cadre, well, I think the results might exactly be the opposite. And above all, I think a certain amount of magnanimity ought to be shown, statesmanship ought to be shown at this juncture. I mean, he was not a small leader, and if there is a tradition of that happening at Marina Beach, I mean, I don't see any reason why an exception again can't be made. So I think the AIDMK is playing politics. Yes, yes, it should not ideally do so. It should show, as I said, magnanimity on such occasion, because even their own supporters, it might be difficult to convince their own supporters as to why this has been denied to the DMK
at this point
patriarch
in time,
and leader.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Ganpati, talking about magnanimity, talking about showing some class as far as something like this is concerned, is this a new phase of Tamil Nadu politics that we are seeing, where it's going to be cutthroat, it's going to be in your face at the end of the day?
Frank, today afternoon, the Karunanidhi family went to meet the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. Stalin, Aragiri, Kanimuri and many DMK leaders were also there. with the chief minister, the deputy chief minister and some other ministers were also there. Probably they discussed many things. One among this could be this issue. And you also should remember that the chief minister went to the hospital to meet Karunanidhi family and had a long discussion with them, etc. Earlier, when Jayalalitha was the supremo of the AIDMK, DMK and ADMK people, even the MPs here, would not even openly speak to each other, would not be like to see in each other's company, because they are scared that the party high command will not like it. That kind of politics was there. But things have changed now. Stalin used to greet Jayalalitha and speak to her in the assembly. And similarly, when she was ill, etc., in the hospital, he visited. Things were changing. But why this thing has cropped up and what reason is the Tamil Nadu government going to cite, etc., is to be seen. But from whatever I know, the Karunanidhi family had informed both the state government as well as the central government and requested them to help, because I think both of them need to work together here to solve this problem. Probably they may solve, but the DMK must be very keen to ensure that it should not go wrong. It should be solved and Karunanidhi should get a place at Marina. Probably that is why they are going to that.
गणपति, अगर मैं बाकी तमिलनाडु से बाहर के दर्शकों के लिहाज से समझना चाहूँ कि मरीना बीच पर अन्ना के बगल में उनकी समाधि, उसका मायने क्या है, उसका संदेश क्या होगा, और अगर नहीं मिलती जगह तो उसके फिर मायने और संदेश क्या है?
बिल्कुल, ये तो बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है। अभी आपको कुछ ही दिन पहले के याद होगा, वो पनीरसेल्वम जब शशिकला के खिलाफ रिवोल्ट किए थे AIDMK में कि भाई ये इनका कंट्रोल नहीं होना चाहिए, ये चीफ मिनिस्टर नहीं बनना चाहिए, तब उन्होंने क्या किया, सीधा जयललिता की समाधि पे चले गए, तो वहाँ बैठ के ध्यान किया था. दैट वाज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द रिवोल्ट एंड फाइट विच अल्टीमेटली पुश्ड शशिकला एंड टीटी दिनकरन एंड देयर रिलेटिव्स आउट, एंड अनदर सेट ऑफ पीपल आर नाउ कंट्रोलिंग द AIDMK. So people have that kind of a emotional connect. People used to make a lot of stories about what did Jayalalitha's spirit tell Mr. O Paneerselvam, why did he go there and start his fight. Similarly, Shashikala, before she went to jail, she went to Jayalalitha Samadhi and she did something like this. Probably some oath she was taking within her mind, we don't know. But that is the kind of connect people have with the Samadhis. That is why people want, Annadurai was the greatest leader of the Dravidian movement, first chief minister of the Dravidian politics. So people want Karunanidhi to be placed next to him. Already M.G. Ramachandran and Jayalalitha ji are already there. They want that place to be given to Karunanidhi because they think it is his rightful place. And that demand should be considered by the state government as well as the central government. Otherwise, DMK and DMK cadres will be very upset.
और इस बीच खबर ये आ रही है फ्रैंक की एक दिन के राष्ट्रीय शोक की घोषणा की गई है, और जैसे कि मैंने पहले बताया कि राज्य यानी कि तमिलनाडु में 7 दिन के राष्ट्रीय शोक की घोषणा की गई है.
One day's national mourning in the name of Karunanidhi is what has been announced, and 7 days of mourning, of course, in Tamil Nadu, and 1 day holiday tomorrow is what the government has announced. So after all the politics and of all the fighting that we've spoken about, some good news there coming in as well at the end of it. Rajalakshmi, national mourning, and a man of his stature deserves it.
True. So this is, rising above politics. If you announce, 1 day is of course national mourning. That is, so it's not, he's not just perceived as a, the leader from a state. Okay, so he's given that importance of his long political career, his contributions to shaping of Tamil Nadu's political, narrative as such, shaping, influencing, and also deciding the course on which it took, for a good part. So I think it's in keeping with all that, it's keeping with all that. So that I think it's befitting the 7-day state mourning and the 1 day national mourning. So amid all this, why the controversy over the
I guess we'll have to wait for some time to find out. Like Ganapati was suggesting, we don't know what the reasoning of the state government is. We'll probably have to wait for their side of the story as well.
But death is very emotive. Death is a very emotive thing.
Indeed.
And with drama and everything around it, and the genuine emotion, there's genuine sense of loss that there are people in Tamil Nadu do face, are seeing at this moment.
And something like this can lead to some disastrous proportions as well. At the end of the day, listening to this, if there is some kind of a riot in Tamil Nadu, that's going to get difficult to control. But
emulations, people have got emotive over various things.
Sure.
There have been emulations, there have been
One small
suicides.
point I would like to make here.
Right.
For Jayalalitha, memorial was made at Marina only, and that did not happen 30 years ago. That happened only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So people will definitely ask this question.
Exactly.
Jayalalitha जी के लिए आप कर सकते हैं और करुणानिधि के लिए क्यों नहीं करेंगे? तो ये इसके लिए जवाब देना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा.
And Ganpati, I asked this question to Rajalakshmi earlier. We are talking about the legacy of Karunanidhi, so let's talk about that and celebrate his life as well. That he's given us 94 years of it. What is the one thing that really stands out for you when we talk about Karunanidhi?
His connect with the people. Whatever he spoke, whatever he wrote, it always connected with. When people read what he wrote, they thought, he is giving the message to each and every cadre felt that Karunanidhi is giving a personal message to me. When he used to speak, people used to go traveling several hours just to hear him speak. He used to speak so well. So those were the things that made him a mass leader. Can you imagine in today's world, somebody traveling 3 hours to hear a leader speak at a rally? We are seeing scenes of people being crowded into trucks and taken to rallies to show the crowd. But those days, the scene was very different with Karunanidhi. That was one of the biggest reasons for his success and his sustained success.
Akhilesh Suman, is that connect still alive among the youngsters, amongst the youth of Tamil Nadu? Or do you believe that it is missing and leaders now need to reinvent themselves to try and get the same kind of mass appeal like the leaders like Anna, Karunanidhi, Jayalalitha and the others really had?
Yeah, I see from the prism of politics, when I was there during the election time, people follow what Karunanidhi used to say, and they have a feeling that yes, Tamil Nadu has a different type of culture from this part of the country, and they want to assert their identity in some way or other. So it is present in every walk of life. But one thing is there, that they are very tolerant to the people who are going to Tamil Nadu for professional needs. And in Tamil Nadu, you will not find anyone speaking against those who are coming from other parts of the country. So this culture was established by both, that I will give credit to both the stalwarts, both Tamil, Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha. But I think that the whole political legacy and the whole movement that Karunanidhi has floated in Tamil Nadu, it is still alive in the youth of Tamil Nadu, because that is their pride, and that is how they distinguish that this is our culture, this is my culture, and belong to this territory and this geography of country, that is India. So I think that is present in the mind of youth the same way that is present in the mind of, that if you go to Kerala, there is a feeling of yes, we are from this part of the country. If you go to Andhra Pradesh, they also have if you go to Maharashtra. But in that way, Tamil Nadu is better, that Tamil Nadu accepts people from different culture. They do have an anti-Hindi movement, but they don't dislike people who are speaking Hindi, and they don't tell them that you go away from there. So youth have learned how to live with other culture, but they like to follow what Karunanidhi and what Tamil culture has taught them, that assert and live with your identity in the country and even elsewhere in the world. So I think that continues in the youth of Tamil Nadu still now, Frank.
और अखिलेश, इसके अलावा अगर मैं कहूँ कि करुणानिधि साहब की पूरी अब तक की जो उनका कार्यकाल रहा है, एक राजनेता के तौर पर, पार्टी अध्यक्ष के नाते, या फिर जब मुख्यमंत्री हो रहे, क्या वो बड़ी उपलब्धियां हैं जो कि तमिलनाडु के राजनीतिक और सामाजिक, मैं कहूँ कि एरा की जब मैं बात करूँ, तो वो अलग खड़ा करती हैं?
देखिए, जो सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि मैं देखता हूँ तमिलनाडु की, मैं दोनों पार्टियों के पास या छोटे अन्य जो सिनेमा से निकलकर नेता बनने की कोशिशों में लगे, उन सभी लोगों के पास गया हूँ। करुणानिधि ने एक पार्टी का एक राजनीतिक कल्चर स्थापित किया, और वह राजनीतिक कल्चर आपको अगर मीटिंगों में भी आप देखेंगे तो अगर करुणानिधि बीच में बैठे हैं तो उनके बगल में वैसी ही कुर्सियां लगाकर अन्य नेता भी बैठे हुए हैं। लेकिन अगर आप AIADMK में जाएंगे तो जयललिता इतनी बड़ी ऊंची कुर्सी पे बैठी हुई हैं और उनके अन्य नेता जो हैं यहाँ पे बैठे हुए हैं। तो यह एक फ़र्क वो साफ साफ दिखता था। एक पॉलिटिकल कल्चर जो करुणानिधि ने स्थापित किया और जो अन्य नेताओं ने स्थापित किया, वो वही कल्चर जो अभी बाद के कुछ सिनेमा से बने वहाँ राजनीति में गए, उन लोगों के बीच में भी वही कल्चर दिखा जो जयललिता ने स्थापित करने की कोशिश की, इंडिविजुअल कल्चर। लेकिन करुणानिधि इसके उलट थे। दूसरी बात जो यह देखी कि करुणानिधि भले ही तमिलनाडु की राजनीति करते थे, लेकिन केंद्र के राजनीति के साथ उनका एकदम प्रत्यक्ष और सीधा रिश्ता बना हुआ रहता था। वो लगातार केंद्र के नेताओं के संपर्क में रहते थे और केंद्र के हर पार्टी के नेताओं के संपर्क में रहते थे। तो इसलिए जब वो कहें कि मोर्चा बदलने की स्थिति बनती थी, वो अपने पार्टी के हित के हिसाब से या तमिलनाडु के हित के हिसाब से जो भी कहें, जब उन्हें मोर्चे बदलने की ज़रूरत पड़ी, मतलब अगर वो थर्ड फ्रंट के साथ है और उसके बाद कांग्रेस के साथ अलायंस करने की ज़रूरत पड़ी, तो कोई उनको बहुत परेशानी नहीं होती थी, क्योंकि हर नेता के संपर्क में वे लगातार रहते थे। और तीसरी जो बड़ी खासियत यह थी कि उन्होंने तमिलनाडु के विकास के मामले में कहीं कोई कमी नहीं आने दी और विकास के साथ उन्होंने कोई समझौता नहीं होने दिया, चाहे वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लेवल का विकास हो या साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के मामले में तमिलनाडु ने जो एक ऊंचाई हासिल की, उसमें कभी कंप्रोमाइज़ नहीं किया। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये 3 बड़ी उपलब्धियां जो मैं करुणानिधि को देना चाहूँगा कि इसका श्रेय जरूर जाता है करुणानिधि को।
Well, there you have it, of course, 3 very important, aspects there of Karunanidhi's work and life is what Akhilesh Suman is pointing out too. But, Ganapati, clearly a lesson there for young politicians as far as Karunanidhi's life is concerned, for young regional parties as well, on the whole, to learn from Karunanidhi.
Definitely. Karunanidhi was the master of give and take. जैसे अखिलेश जी ने बताया कि वो जब बैठते थे पब्लिक मीटिंग में, साथ में बाकी नेता लोग बैठते थे. ही गेव equal importance to everybody, not only the people in his party, but also to the allies. He could always manage a coalition. छोटा पार्टी 5-6 पार्टी हमेशा उनके साथ रहती थी. Whether he is in opposition or whether he is ruling, he always managed to keep them. And 2016, DMK did not get full majority. So they formed the government with the support of the Congress. लेकिन कभी भी किसी को महसूस होने नहीं दिया कि ये पूरा मेजॉरिटी नहीं है, क्योंकि वो जितना कांग्रेस का जो एमएलएस है उनके साथ करुणानिधि जी का इतना तालमेल था. द गवर्नमेंट वाज इन फुल कोऑर्डिनेशन विद देम, नो डिफरेंसेस ऑफ ओपिनियन, एंड फुल 5 years ही मैनेज टू smoothly run the government. That was the expertise in administration, in running the party as well as the government. He brought those skills which were developed further by others. The schemes of Kamaraj were strengthened by him, then which were improved by MGR, especially the midday meal scheme, by adding eggs, milk, some more nutrients and making it better. And then further, Jayalalitha made it into Amma canteen, not only for school students but for other poor people also. All these schemes, etc., how they were run more efficiently in Tamil Nadu. Karunanidhi had an important role to play in that, especially the PDS, public distribution system. In other states we keep hearing कि चावल नहीं मिल रहा है, गेहूं नहीं मिल रहा है, चीनी नहीं. Tamil Nadu giving rice and wheat at literally no price. But they managed to reach each and every poor person. There is no complaint that I am not getting. कि वो मैनेज करके रखते थे. तो इन सब चीज़ों में he was a real expert, and that was one of the main reasons for his success.
His contribution to the education system also has been immense, strengthening the universities, opening up private universities as well in Tamil Nadu, and that has ensured that several thousands of, people from the state of Tamil Nadu have been educated and have gotten higher education as well, Rajalakshmi.
Yes, of course. I think the investment in the social sector, which I think most of the southern states have been quite good at. That is putting in more money for health, education, etc. Yes, PDS was also a big thing that was done, because, for instance, PDS is almost universal, for almost everybody, as I said. So you could choose whether you want it or not, but at least it was available at that rate. So, but that choice is not there in so many states of our country, where procurement is in fact is hardly there. So the state has to procure, essentially to give through the PDS, which I think Tamil Nadu, Kerala and all these states have had shown remarkable, success. And yes, of course, education, it does remain a very sensitive topic because the quality of education in the private sector is also questionable thing. So as far as the public funded part is concerned, yes, Tamil Nadu it did do well, I think initially, but then opening up the education sector to all kinds of people to enter, that's also a thing which needs to be questioned really. But still, I think accessible education is still there, cheap and affordable accessible education, so that everybody sort of gets that gets access to higher secondary and of college, etc., and at cheap and affordable rates. So I think on that front, yes, Tamil Nadu in fact does owe to that legacy of social, educational and economic transformation. But then it's not an island. Tamil Nadu is not an island. It's part of the entire neoliberal economic trajectory that the country is taking.
Right.
And the effects of that are felt also in Tamil Nadu. So you have protests, industrial worker protests. You have protests by farmers. You have social unrest protests. So I think there is a lot of ferment, social, economic, as well as of course political too, at some to a fairly large extent. So these are the things that any leadership, any political leadership that will take over will have to sort of grapple with, apart from managing I think their own internal dynamics. In a sense. Yeah.
Right. Ganapati, the fact that he has never lost an assembly election, 13 times MLA in Tamil Nadu, says a lot about the kind of love and the support he always had from the people, no matter what was happening around him or around the people themselves.
Yeah, of course. Even at the worst of times, when the party has been completely defeated in an assembly election, Karunanidhi has always managed to win, even if the margin was less or whatever. There is no question of Karunanidhi losing. That's not there in his history. He used to always say that even if the party loses completely, I will alone take the fight forward. So he was always ready to fight and ready to be in the opposition. He did not think that we will always be in the government. He accepted the reality that we will be in opposition also. And why he himself was always winning was because despite the pressures of going and campaigning all over the state, he would always go to his own constituency and speak to people in public meetings. His routine was so tough that he used to get up at 4:35 in the morning, and in normal days he used to go to Marina for a morning walk and come back and write his column and everything and find out about the party's latest developments, etc. By the time most people get up and get ready, he would have already done his day's work. He was such a meticulous planner and hard worker. That was the reason why wherever he contested, whether he contested in Tanjavur, whether he contested in Chennai, in many different constituencies, he always won. That connect with people and the political fighting acumen, that was always there with him, and that is why he managed, whatever be the fate of the party, he always won and made sure that every time he won.
एक आखिरी कमेंट रायलक्ष्मी आपको चाहूँगा कोई, क्योंकि उनके एजेंडे में बहुत सारे इश्यूज हुआ करते थे, कोई एक ऐसा इशू जो उन्होंने सोचा हो कि इसे पूरा करेंगे लेकिन वो अब तक उस मुकाम तक ना पहुंचा हो या फुलफिल ना हुआ हो?
भाई मुझे लगता है कि वो तो चाहते हैं, वो तो चाहे होंगे कि उनके रहते उनके उत्तराधिकारी एक स्मूथ ट्रांजिशन के तौर पर आ जाएं और वो जो पार्टी का कमान संभालें। शायद वो सपना उनका पूरा नहीं हुआ। जो है बाकी, जैसे मैंने कहा कि द्रविडियन मूवमेंट को भी अपने अंदर बहुत ही इंट्रोस्पेक्शन करने की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो उम्मीदों के साथ शुरू हुआ था वो जो है मतलब पूरी तरीके से खरा नहीं उतरा है। और एक उनका कोट जो मैंने आपको शायद शुरू में कहा था, उन्होंने कहा था कि मैं 6वीं बार चीफ मिनिस्टर बनूंगा। उन्होंने एक अखबार को इंटरव्यू दिया था और अगर जो है नेचर, अगर प्रकृति इंटरव्यू ना करे तो मैं छठी बार जो है बनूंगा और स्टालिन को थोड़ा और इंतज़ार करना पड़ेगा। तो ये उन्होंने बात उनका सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर भी ये दर्शाता है। तो एक हिसाब से वो एक जिंदा दिल इंसान की तरह से उनका जो अभी तक जो हम लोग सारा सब कुछ जो है डिस्कस किया है, एक ज़मीन के साथ और लोगों के साथ एक जुड़ाव उनका रहा, और वो जो कल्चरल और आर्टिस्टिक एरिया में उनका जो इंटरेस्ट था, जो उनके जो लेखनी से प्रदर्शित हुआ है, और जो तो वो मेरे ख्याल से जो आगे की नस्ल जो है उनको ज़रूर याद रखेगी। तो अलग अलग जो लेवल पे उनके कंट्रीब्यूशंस रहे।
बिल्कुल, वो होता है। मैं फ्रैंक, जिस तरीके से की 94 साल की उम्र, जिसमें 80 साल का राजनीतिक या पब्लिक जीवन का उनका सफ़र, जितनी बार चुनाव लड़े हर बार जीते, और 69 के बाद जब वो आते हैं सत्ता में, उसके बाद राष्ट्रीय पार्टियाँ केंद्र की जो पार्टियाँ में कही जाती हैं वो राज से बाहर।
And also, let's not forget, he was the chief minister of the state of Tamil Nadu at the age of 82. Is when he was the chief minister for the 5th time of the state of Tamil Nadu. Indeed, a great legacy that he leaves behind. A big void too is left behind now with the passing away of M Karunanidhi. Remains to be seen who is going to take that legacy forward and who can fill that void, if indeed someone can really fill that void. With that, it's a wrap on our coverage thus far. Thank you to our guests for joining us on the program and sharing your experiences that you've had with Karunanidhi as well. Do stay tuned. We'll slip into a short break, but we'll be back with a special report on Karunanidhi on the other side. Stay tuned.